Hi, my name is Sylvia and I'd like to welcome you to my latest soul service project, AUM. I have been teaching now for over 30 years as a spiritual teacher. I'm also an award winning writer and an international speaker. And it's always been my aim to empower people in whatever way is most useful for their spiritual progress and for their life delight. So, what is this AUM project? Well, AUM is short for Answers from Universal Mind. And so, when we have something that we really don't understand, we actually all can learn to develop this gift, this skill, if you will, of tuning into our higher mind, the higher mind of our higher self, which is always connected with the universal mind. And through the communicator, which I call the Holy Spirit, you will receive answers. So that is the purpose of this. And the aim also is to invite you to send any questions in that may be bothering you, things that you don't understand or you find confusing, mainly of a spiritual, metaphysical nature, but also anything to do with helping to improve your life, to make your life more wonderful, more miraculous, and more enjoyable every day, which I do honestly not only believe is what we're meant to do here, but I know because that's how my life is. So do consider sending in any questions, and I'd be most happy to tune in for you, or else connect with the ancient wisdom teachings, which come from those who have gone before us, who are more enlightened. They have reached higher levels of mastery. Often they're called ascended masters and adepts, and can answer some of these questions too. And sometimes it's already been recorded. I've been studying the ancient wisdom teachings for over 40 years now, and there's a wealth of information there which answers so many of the things that puzzle us, even day by day. And if it's something like that that I share with you, you can rest assured that it's an answer I have verified for myself in some way. If it's something I can test and prove, then I always do that. I always ask for confirmation before I ever share it. So, answers from Universal Mind. And today we're going to start with one straightforward question that people have asked over the years, and that is spirit the same as your soul? Now, as I say, through the teachings, through my understanding and checking with um, revelations and transmissions I receive from my higher mind, which, by the way, is a skill that everyone can learn to develop. It's just that most people are so busy or they haven't given it the time to develop that skill. But it's something, as I say, that I've been working on for over 40 years. So if I can help you, it's my joy to do so. So, soul and spirit. No, they are not exactly the same. First of all, spirit, of course, is something which we say animates us, it gives us life. In some sacred texts, it's called the Holy Spirit, or it's called, is one of its meanings, is breath. And of course, we cannot live in a human form without breathing, without a breath. So, spirit is what animates us and all life forms. Therefore, it's universal. Every single living form, and many say even inanimate objects, have this spirit within them. How you define its source is entirely up to you, whatever language you use. I call it universal consciousness. Now, the soul is personal, not impersonal and universal like spirit. The soul is something personal to each one of us. We each have our own soul. And as I understand it, the soul travels with us from life to life and records all that we have learned, all that we have done, mistakes as well as all the positives, in other words, karma, both good and bad, that we have accrued over many life experiences. And so it carries that record with us from life to life. They're often called the Akashic records. And again, we that is possible to tune into. I do it on private one-on-one consultations if it is relevant, and it can explain sometimes a soul lesson or something that we've come to work on to clear, to heal, or whatever it may be in this lifetime. Now, the soul itself, as I say, goes with us. It's the eternal part of us. And although we shed our bodies life after life, the soul continues and comes into the next life form. However, in the ancient wisdom that I really relate to, it's understood that the soul has three parts, and one of those parts carries the light, if you like, or the spirit that is often called the spark, the divine spark. So, in that sense, they're linked. That spirit, that spark of life, comes to us to animate this body and is also found within the soul. So I hope that gives you a little clarity on that question, and so you can now use it in your understanding, in your meditation, or whatever you prefer, to make life and understanding, as I say, a little easier. Because if we don't understand something, it can often block us from growing and advancing and progressing. So if you'd like to send me any questions, oh, and by the way, just to mention, one dear lady sent me some questions of a very personal nature about a relationship. The purpose of AUM, or Answers from Universal Mind, is meant to be questions that can be shared with everybody so that everybody can learn from them and hear about them, not of a very personal nature. That I can do if anyone wishes in my personal consultation work. I do that online by Skype or Zoom or whatever suits people. But no, they're meant to, as I say, to do with things spiritual or metaphysical, or things that affect the quality of your life and making sense of life, how to understand what's going on, and so forth. So if you'd like to send a question, here, whoops, no, that's the right way. Here is my email address, sjv3 at extra.co.nz. Note the extra hasn't got an E. But if you forget that, you can always go to my website, which is www.sylviavalis.com. Very simple. And there you will also find access to my award-winning book, The Miracle Effect. And many questions people have found have been answered through reading this. So I bless you at this time, and I look forward to joining you again in the very near future.